Hello and welcome to another Yin Yoga class. Today we're going to be practicing from hips to spine. It's a half an hour practice and I do enjoy doing these classes in the morning because it kind of like gives me that space to keep moving throughout the day. So for today's class, you may not need any prop. I will give you some options and modifications for the first poses, especially because probably those are the ones that you may need something to sit on. So we're gonna be here for a couple minutes. Just close your eyes and just allow a few moments to arrive here to this space, wherever you are, to center, to let go of everything and anything that you don't need right now, allowing a space for you to be, letting go of any expectation, trusting the process, trusting whatever your body and your mind will give you during this 30 minutes of practice. Take a few moments to observe your breathing without changing anything. Just observe how your body moves when you inhale, when you exhale. Observing how your body feels against the floor. Maybe you are sitting on a blanket or a bolster. Just for a couple moments while we are landing on our mat. And acknowledging that the practice of Yin, when it comes to the asana practice, is mainly to go deeper into our tissues. And when it comes to the emotional and the mental benefits, knowing that Yin gives us the space to go inwards, to observe what arises, to observe our thoughts, and hopefully to become an observer of those thoughts. Taking a few moments to feel grounded, to see how your body feels at this moment. Maybe there's a place that you need to be aware of during your practice. So try to follow your instinct, follow your gut, follow your voice when someone tells you that probably you're going too far, too fast. One of the principles of the Yin practice is to start in that soft edge where the asana starts getting into the tissues, so not going all the way to the end. This is finding your first edge, the first place when we feel comfortable in the pose while the pose is effective. Today, as I said, we're going to be working a little bit on hips, moving up to the spine to give a little space. A few more moments here. And very gently and softly opening your eyes. So to be fair with all the poses, I'm going to be timing. So I have the timer in my phone right now, so you don't have to worry about anything. Just let everything go. And we're gonna come to the first pose, which is square pose. It looks very similar than this one. So you can actually stay here for a bit longer. We're gonna be holding poses for 2 to 3 minutes. So you can continue here with your eyes closed, or you can join me in square pose. For square pose, we're gonna place the right shin parallel to the edge of the mat and then bringing the left leg on top. If your left knee is not going all the way down, it's okay as long as the ankle is in a happy place. Sometimes when the knee is not going down and the ankle is kind of like suffering, maybe that is an indication that we need to provide some space to the hip to externally rotate. And this is when we modify by keeping the leg down in front of us in easy cross or sukhasana. So you have the option, you have the choice to be in any of these poses. You can also decide what to do with your torso. You can keep your torso upright, or you can start walking your hands forward, kind of like rounding your spine and resting on your legs. So find the pose that works for you. I always try to give a few moments to find the space. We're going to be holding this for 2 minutes in each side. So again, you can come forward, trying to round the spine and rest the torso, or you can stay upright. You may want to close your eyes. Just follow my voice for the moments that I talk. I will talk for a few moments, explaining a few things, and then respecting a moment of silence so you can actually acquire those benefits of going inwards, of observing what is arising in your body, in your mind, in your heart. So the first pose to start providing some flexibility, some stress to the hip joint. That's what we do when we practice asanas. We are stressing certain areas, and stress means either compressing or stretching or twisting certain areas. So when we release that stress, we support and we help the supply of blood, oxygen, energy into that area. So we still have about 30 seconds to be in whatever of the choices that you might have done for this posture. It's one of my favorite ways of sitting on the floor in square position. When I started practicing this pose, my knee was quite high, which was only an indication that my range of motion in the external rotation was a bit limited. And with practice, I have been able to create some space. So maybe that is the case of your body today. So 2 minutes are gone. We're gonna softly come up if your torso was forward. Just pausing for a moment and moving slower than you think you should move. We're gonna start shifting to the other leg. So placing your left shin parallel to the floor and bringing your right leg on top. I'm mirroring the camera here, so hopefully we're working on the same leg. And if you did the opposite leg, just now do the next one. Do the other one. 2 minutes in this pose. See how this side feels. Maybe it feels a little bit different than the other one. Again, you decide to stay upright. Maybe you're sitting on a cushion for a better rotation of your pelvis so you can have your torso straight, or you can decide to come forward and resting your forehead. Allow your forehead to be heavy, guiding your torso down. And well, we are in this other side. I will give you that space so you can come inwards. I will let you know when we are about to come out of the pose. Take a few more breaths here. Just your normal natural breathing, and slowly we start bringing our torso upright if you were not there. Pausing for a moment. And we're gonna start moving to the next pose. So we're gonna be in half butterfly. So for this pose, we're gonna extend softly and gently. Remember that in the end, when we're practicing yin poses, we want to move a bit slower than we think we should move. So we're gonna keep the left leg extended in front of us, and then we're gonna bring our right foot as close to the groin as possible. If your hip moves, your right pelvis is going to move a little bit back because you are bringing your leg backwards. So you bring your leg back, not backwards. So we can decide to do this pose. We can either practice it with our torso towards the center in between the two legs, following the direction of the pelvis, or we can keep our pelvises here and we're gonna move towards the leg. This is how we're gonna do it today to incorporate the spine, adding a little twist to that area. So your left leg is soft. We're not holding anything in any place. Your head, it's heavy. So for some of us, that is my case, it doesn't feel good to actually allow the head to go completely heavy and hanging. It doesn't feel good for my neck. You can try what works for you. Anyway, the neck is not the target area for this pose. You can continue that activation on the muscles of your neck so you can keep your neck aligned with the rest of the spine. This is how I usually practice the forward folds. It doesn't suit me well to release the head completely, but see how you feel. And once you have found the shape of your body, then commit to stillness. The main benefit of being in stillness is the muscles are not involved. Remember that one of the actions of the muscles is to create movement. So the less we move, the less engagement of muscles, which is something that we aim to have in the yin practice. Less involvement of the movements, of the muscles in movements. So the stress can go into the fascia of the muscles and then travel a little bit deeper to go to other layers of the connective tissue. Have a few more seconds here to go. Feeling the nice stretch in the back of your leg. Very gently bringing your torso upright. Pausing. It's always important to pause, to feel, to observe. Now we're going to extend the right leg and perhaps see how they both feel. They were doing two different things. Now bringing your left foot close to you. And again, moving our torso towards the right leg now. Your toes are soft, your knees soft because there is no engagement in the hip joint. Keep trying to keep your toes and your knees in any position. And then moving your torso forward. Your hands are soft on the floor. They are neither stopping your torso from moving deeper and deeper into the pose, neither they are pulling you forward in a more yang attitude. I always say that it's not what we do, it's how we do it. And the practice of yin requires a yin attitude. So the hands are soft. They're not actually having any role in this position. And try to observe how this asana is going through the back of your leg, your glute, your lower back, all the way up to your head. We have some moments more here, so enjoy the silence of being in this pose. Gently start now using your hands to bring your torso back to the center, stopping for a moment before extending your left leg to meet the right. For 1 minute, we're going to do now a symmetrical movement. We were doing an asymmetrical version of a pose. Now we're doing the symmetrical, where both legs are in the same position, coming into caterpillar. Again, allow your toes to move either out or in. They're soft. We are not holding them in any position, especially if you are used to practice in a more yang style. Maybe you feel the urge or the need of bringing your legs together and keeping your toes and your knees facing up. So just keep them soft. Keep your torso soft. Maybe closing the eyes for the rest of the pose. Feeling how the stress travels from the hips to the spine. Gently and mindfully bring yourself back up. Pause. And shift your legs behind you. We're gonna come first into tabletop, only to transition to the next pose, baby dragon. So we have options for the hands since we are not using props, so I will give you options for your hands. So we're gonna move the right foot forward. In this occasion, because when we practice in a yin way, we can place the foot in either far forward or far back, depending on what we do in the knee. Right now, we want to actually use this pose for the hip, so you can keep your knee on top of your ankle. So options for your hands, since it's a baby dragon, you can keep both hands on the floor next to your foot and rest your forehead, your torso on top of your leg. That is option one. And if for any reason your hands cannot meet the floor, and because we don't have any prop, you can rest your hands on your thigh and just keep everything else soft. So we are not actually pushing or pulling. You just keep them soft here. Soft gaze, or your eyes are closed, and allowing your hips to sink down and forward. That's what we want to do. So choose the variation that works for you today. As I said, maybe keeping your hands on the floor or on your thigh. Keeping your eyes closed or open. If they're open, try to find a focal point when you are not distracted. The less we move the eyes, the less our mind follows. And we want to keep our mind steady and calm. I actually love practicing with my eyes closed. We have 1 more minute here to go.
Feeling, observing how your hips perhaps sink lower, heavier, deeper. And if you are thinking that you have tight hips, welcome to the club. We are humans and we are meant to have tight hips. They support a lot of weight. They're in the middle of the body, supporting the weight of the torso and the head, which are very heavy. So the hips are meant to be strong and tight. So please, I hope that that's not an excuse for not practicing asanas. Actually, that should be the main reason for practicing asanas. Physically speaking, of course. Gently, softly, mindfully, very, very slowly start moving out of the pose. Finding your way back into tabletop, observing. So we pause here to observe. Let me just stop my timer there. Just observe how your both hips feel right now. And start moving to the other leg. So we go to the left side, bringing your left leg forward, finding first the alignment for the ankle and the knee, and then deciding what to do with the hands. Remember, option 1, your hands on the floor. Option 2, your hands on your thigh, very softly, just to support your torso. Keeping your neck, your face as soft and relaxed as possible, and allowing the hips to feel heavier and heavier to keep sinking down and forward. Perhaps one side feels different than the other one, and perhaps it needs something different than the other one. Choose the variation that works for each side, making the asanas effective, meaning that the asana is targeting the area that is meant to target, in this case the hips, without causing any distress anywhere else. Distress, discomfort in the zone that we're targeting is expected, and it's okay. Pain is not okay anywhere. If you find yourself holding the pose, just allow yourself to melt down. Feel your body heavy. Allow the gravity to be your partner in your practice. Time and gravity do their magic when we practice in a yin style, in a yin way. And softly, carefully start moving your body up and bringing your left leg behind you, just stopping for a moment in tabletop, observing, acknowledging. And now we're going to open our knees wide as the mat to come to a child pose that goes more into the hips and allowing the spine to be a little bit in a more straight way. When we close our knees and we bring the torso on the legs that we will do next, it will target a little bit deeper the back of your torso, targeting more the spine. But for now, let's rest for a few moments in this wide knee child's pose. Observing and again allowing the hips to sink down, to sink heavy, whether they meet the heels or not. Just feel how your body feels heavy, melting down against the mat. A few more moments in this variation of child pose. We're gonna lift the torso just a little bit to move one knee at a time, coming into the more classical version of child pose, because I want you to observe the difference between one and the other one. Perhaps your hands are behind you, and in this one you are a little bit more rounded in your spine, so we keep moving the hips, the stress, the stimulus that we're having from the hips back up to the spine, moving into a more rounded shape in your torso. Again, trying to allow your hips to sink down to your heels, whether they touch or not. Keeping your spine round, compressing the top of your thighs against your abdomen. And I'm gonna start moving out of the pose, bringing your torso a little higher, moving into the last pose of today before moving into the resting pose. So bring your body all the way down to the floor. So we have options here. So either we have Sphinx pose, where you are on your elbows. So this is option 1. Option 2 is to come into seal pose. We will be here only for about 2 minutes. So in seal pose, you want to walk your hands to the front. The closer the hands to you, the deeper we will go into the lumbar spine. In yin, not necessarily more is better. We want to start in that position where the asana feels good. It feels right. Not necessarily easy, but it feels right for what we want to accomplish. Now we're moving more towards the lumbar spine. And again, you can drop your head down, which is a practice that I usually don't have. Or you can keep it aligned with the rest of your spine, closing your eyes for a minute of insight, a minute of being with yourself in silence. Keeping your glutes soft and relaxed. Your legs are soft. Your abdomen is relaxed as well. That will help us to allow the gravity to pull the lumbar spine deeper and deeper into this. We are compressing the posterior part of the lumbar vertebrae, and this is what we want, to give space in the front while compressing and contracting in the back. Good. Very slowly bring your torso and your head all the way down to the floor. Stay here only for a few moments, neutralizing our spine, observing. And gently we're going to extend our and start rolling over to come to our final position. It's similar than Shavasana, but we want to open our feet a bit wider. Extend the arms, placing the hands at the same level of the shoulders. Closing your eyes. Allow your body to melt, to dissolve on the mat. Letting go. If you have more time, I will invite you to stay here for as long as you want, as long as you need. If you are ready to finish the practice, I will invite you to start coming out of the pose by stretching and extending your limbs, perhaps rolling to either side, and help yourself to come to a comfortable seated position. And thank you for practicing with me this morning. As I said, I usually like to do this in the morning, but you can practice at any time. We know that the best time to practice is whenever you have time. Thank you so much, and I hope to have you again with me in another yin yoga class very soon. Thank you. Well done. If you made it this far, your hips might be feeling open, healthy, and loved. If so, let me know by clicking the like button below, and also remember that there are many more classes in the hip opening playlist. Go and check them out. Also, after so many years of teaching in yoga teacher training courses, I have learned that when it comes to poses, it's not necessarily how it looks, but how it feels. And for this, I created the Hips and Knees program. If you're ready to have healthy hips that are going to support your knees, and forget about that idea of protecting your knees in yoga practice, this program is for you. To have more information and to sign up in this program, click the first link you will find below this video. And if you have any question, any comment, let me know and I will be happy to reply. Thank you, and see you very soon on the other side of the screen.